So David Bowie, you never get a chance to have a tear.
Yeah, well, in the case of the obituary giving that I do, I don't really get a chance to think about that we've lost that person because I'm doing the interview and another interview and another interview.
So you're on a train.
But it takes a day before I get a chance to stand there and go, well, yeah, that person meant a lot to me. I mean, he was important to me. It's not just everybody else.
I remember, like to me, you're listening, but you started off collecting records, and then you ended up with the only collection of videos and records that anyone ever had. Is that right? Is that how I remember it?
Not quite. But I started collecting records when I was 11.
Yeah.
And then it grew.
Yeah.
And it grew.
Yeah.
It kind of like Topsy, And it became sort of and. It's my enthusiasm just sort of totally swept me away.
We've lost that, haven't we?
I think so.
It's all become so corporate.
But in the case of, say, as we were talking about Bowie, I mean, the word chameleon, was invented for him. As far as There was
he gay or wasn't he?
Who knows and who cares?
I don't think exactly.
I don't think that's the point. I mean, but he had great taste in music. I was looking today at songs that he actually covered. And he did great versions of the Easy Beats Friday on My Mind.
That was the best song.
And the Beach Boys, God Only Knows. And he did, the great version of the Kinks' Waterloo Sunset. And he did Chuck Berry and Bob.
Sung Hurt with...
Hurt, the Nine Inch Nails song. The Johnny Cash.
Yeah, Johnny Cash, that's the Johnny Cash song now. My hair just stood on it.
No, really. It's... Bowie was an extraordinary... he bristled with creativity. It just came... It's surging out of him. And you know what was interesting? We believed him in every phase and everything. We might always have liked it, but we believed what he was doing. And he never really put a foot wrong. I mean, he had more success at times than he did at others, but it didn't matter. There was a validity to everything he did. And I can't think of anyone who was out there for 40 or to 50 years and who was in fact, made so many, goals that were so valid to people, so many extraordinary moments.
He's a ground control to Major Tom, and that the cover that was done from the space station, my hair stands on end because that Sawyer's craft is still the original craft that put humans into space, and it's still the only thing that can still do it.
Well, he would have. Well, he was alive then, and he would have loved that. But it's funny. I mean, remember that Space Oddity arrived just as the moon landing was about to happen, and you kind of got the impression that this was a clever folkie cashing in on an event, and you wouldn't necessarily hear from him again. Well, we had no idea. That we would hear from Ziggy Stardust and Aladdin Sane and the Thin White Duke, and we would hear from sort of people with different guises and personalities, and he would do his Berlin trilogy, and then he would produce Lou Reed, and then he would lift Iggy Pop out of relative obscurity, and then he would go out on stage with Mick Jagger, and he would go out on stage sort of with Cher, and he would be involved with Queen and wow, the breathtaking scope of what he did was just phenomenal. I'm talking to you about Bowie again, and that's what I've been doing for
you've got to stop it.
I've got to stop.
You've got to have shed a tear, because I had one moment, and living is for the alive, and obituaries are for the living as well.
I don't think since Michael Jackson that there has been such an outpouring of devotion. But it is a London journalist said, clever bugger, he even stage managed his own funeral.
He did. That Lazarus, how good is that song? And the video. And it reminded me of my dad when he died of dementia, right? My dad didn't know who I was for 10 years, and whispering this to my sister on the way down in the hospital, and he hears my voice, and he reaches out, and he goes, and he grabs my hand, and he said something like, I don't know, like, it's okay, carry it, and that's what Bowie did, and there he is lifting up out of I'm somewhere else.
I know, it is astonishing that the protection that all the people close to him provided in these final days. No one said a word.
No.
In fact, when I was rung and somebody said, that afternoon, and they said, we want to do an interview because David Bowie is dead. I said, No, he's not. No, he only put a new album out a couple of days.
Yeah.
Please check that.
Check that.
It
So you had to
sounds
do a
like
fact check.
It
Yeah.
sounds like a hoax to me. It sounds like a hoax, and of course it was no hoax. And but you just sat there, and then the deluge of people wanting to have some thoughts and recollections, and wanting David Bowie put into perspective, which I guess is what I do.
Yeah.
I put people in perspective and say, perhaps why they were important, and how they fitted into everything else. But David Bowie fitted into everything. He fitted into every phase. He fitted into every genre, and he was an extraordinary human being.
So now you're here with the Angels, reborn.
Now I'm here with the Angels, and it's of course the Angels have a connection to Bowie. On his first Australian tour, they were the support act, and he chose them. Bowie actually sort of was very cluey musically, and he'd heard their album, and he said, "No, I want these guys." And John Brewster will tell the story about how when they were sound checking, it could have even been Adelaide, that he was up the back of the field just sitting there, the Thin White Duke, just watching them, and then he comes back to the stage and he invites them out to dinner. They dined every night, as John says, on the tour, and he was a gracious gentleman. And when you consider he came from a pretty tough working class place.
Yeah.
I mean, Brixton.
Yeah.
Brixton is not exactly known for people with impeccable manners. it's more known for
tough, fight juice.
But then again, when you think about it, neither is Glasgow, and yet look who came out of Glasgow: AC/DC, George and Malcolm and Angus and etc. And they are gracious gentlemen.
Yeah.
There is a true working class dignity.
That's
a working class dignity that I think comes through, and they have nothing to prove except they're very family orientated. They're very, so maybe that runs through the thread.
Thank you for talking to me. This is great. We're both. He's a legend, and
he's a director, and he'll be directing.
I'm making you look good.
Okay.